Hey everybody, welcome to FabFit Friday. I am so excited to be back. It's been a long week because I've been helping my daughter with her new puppy. Um, you know, it, Little puppies have a lot of things, and sometimes you don't understand what they want or need, or maybe you think whatever, but the bottom line is I think we're on a good path now. I think she's good. She's eating and she's sleeping and she's crate training and she's slowly learning how to potty train. So I think we're good on that. So I've got to get back to work now because I've literally spent a lot of time doing that. But it was fun and it was totally worth it. Oh yeah. Hey Kelly, puppies are a lot of work. Also, thank you for commenting because I wanted to make sure my audio was okay. For some reason, I can't see my audio meter in my OBS right now. I don't know what happened, but I'm glad you can hear me. And oh, I did enjoy her. We actually went hiking this morning, and I wanted to create those baby Bjorns or those little baby cuddlers. Well, I made one for Belly. Her name is Belly, and I thought, oh, okay, we'll use that. We'll use that to carry her some of the time, because 4 miles is a lot for a 3-month-old puppy. So I'm just going to show you. Look at how cute. This is my workout partner, Richard. Okay, and he's holding Belly for us in the little baby Bjorn thing that I made when we went hiking this morning, so she wouldn't have to hike the full 4 miles. So yeah, she's working out good. I'm guessing in the next few weeks she'll be running those 4 miles by herself. So yay. All right. Oh, hey, Polly, welcome, and I'm glad you can hear me. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, Kelly said that's adorable. Yeah, she is a cutie pie. All right, so now let's get to my summer sewing situation. If you follow along with me, several FabFit Fridays ago, I shared the fabrics that I was going to be making some of my summer, I shared my summer plans and some of the fabrics I was going to be using. And this blue Irish linen is one of the fabrics I'm using, but it was really expensive and I wanted to make sure I really liked what I was going to do with it. So instead of using the blue Irish linen to make this first button-down shirt, I used this lovely red linen I got from Fabric Mart when it was on sale. And I use the Irish linen as the facings and the facing for the button placket. And then I wore this shirt a couple times when I was shooting videos last week, and I had these are the magic pins by Taylor Seville, the square head pins, and a couple people thought they were actually buttons. So I want to find blue buttons to put on this shirt now because I really like the way this looks. So I'm just going to stand up and show you a few things about this shirt because I'm making some changes to it in addition to redrafting some things and making a new design for the Irish blue linen that I'm going to share with you in a minute. But anyway, I'm really happy with the way this fits me. I'm just going to show you here. All right, so it's hemmed, and I did all of this with you a couple Fridays ago. The one thing I don't like, I think the armhole is a little low, so I'm going to raise that up, and I'm going to show you how I did that. And the other thing I'm noticing on this bust start hangs nice, but this bust start looks a little like the bust is a little bit bust start is a little big, so I've got some extra fabric right here. So I'm going to fix that by not having a bust start in my next top. So I'm going to show you all about that. So I will be finishing this shirt as soon as I find some blue buttons that are similar to these magic pins that I have here. Oh, Kelly says, that looks nice. I wouldn't have noticed. Well, it's funny because a couple people commented that they really like the buttons until they realized when they look closer, that it was actually a pin. And some people didn't realize they were pins because I wore these in a couple videos from from earlier this week or last week. But I really like this top and I really want to finish it. So I will be getting to that soon. But now what I want to show you is, I'm going to switch my view to my table. And this is one of the books that I did a pattern draft from when I was doing the bodice drafting series. And I went through it. I was looking for a pattern idea where I can get rid of this bust dart and also create a yoke in the front and maybe a little bit of a wider neckline. So I was looking for those two things, and in this book, oops, I just cut myself because this is not shut. It's not bad, it's only a little boo-boo. All right, so this book, I should have put a link. I'll put a link to the draft I did from this book, or when I reviewed this book. I'll put that link in the description when I get done. But basically I was looking through and I found this idea, and I'm thinking we're a little bit too bright here. Let me just, sorry, hold on one second. Let me just darken this up so you can actually see what I'm trying to show you here. Okay, let me just zoom right in. Whoop, get right in there. Make sure we're nice and sharp. I think that's nice and sharp now. All right, so what I like, see this right here, okay? If you look and see, they use a shoulder dart as the outside edge for the yoke. So I want to try doing that to my pattern and creating a yoke. I don't think I want to add the fullness underneath it because I don't want to make a maternity kind of looking top with my little belly. So I'm not going to be adding the gathers here, but I want to create this kind of yoke. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run white decorative stitches, like rows of white decorative stitches or something, to give some detail to this part right here. So that's what I'm going to do with my blue Irish linen. And just to show you, I just want to remind you, this is how beautiful this blue Irish linen is. Okay, and speaking of linen, I want to show you one other thing here. I don't know if you saw Devil Wears Prada. You might, Devil Wears Prada, because I am enamored with this dress that Anne Hathaway wore during Devil Wears Prada. Now this dress, I went and looked it up. It was made by, like, I don't know, like 40 artisans worked on this. It was all white linen. They dyed all of the pieces of linen different colors, and then they hand stitched them together to make the original dress. So I obviously am not going to be doing all that handwork, but I am going to start with white linen. Okay, and look at this beautiful linen. I got this linen from Fabric Mart. I want to say that this is one of the nicest quality linens. It's suiting weight, which I think will be beautiful as a dress. Look at this selvage. Isn't this the most beautiful selvage you've ever seen in your entire life? It says 100% pure linen suiting, you know, and it's gold and blue. I am really excited to create a few different colors by dyeing this white linen and then trying to make that dress. And of course, I'll be sharing this process with you. Oh, Kelly says it looks like stained glass. It does. I'm really... This has been on my mind since I saw Devil Wears Prada 2, and because it's still on my mind, you know, like well over a month later, I'm really going to try making it. I don't know that I'm going to use yellow, but I am going to pick like 4 or 5 colors, and I'm going to create this kind of dress from this white linen that I'm also going to be dyeing. So I'll be bringing you along on this project as well once I get that started. I'll probably be ready just in time for Christmas the way I'm going. But anyway, so I wanted to share that with you. And if you want to see This is the information from Fabric Mart if you're interested. It's their Snow White 100% mid-weight woven. Okay, and actually I was kind of sad because I bought it when it was 60% off, and then she had a bigger sale. I could have gotten 4 yards for the same price as 3 yards almost if I had waited, but I got 3 yards, and I think that will be enough because it's, you know, it's 57 inches wide. So that's going to be a future project. All right, and then this linen right here. Okay, so Kelly is saying it sounds tedious. I will tell you that here is my plan, and then I'll get going on the shirt. So, you know, I'm trying to think of a way to not make it tedious. So I am going to be playing with I'm going to be playing with finding stitches that I can use in my digitizing software to create and finish the edge of the linen in white. Okay, so I'm going to play with a variety of different stitches, make little borders around little rectangles, and then I'm going to wash them and see which one is the most durable. I may end up dry cleaning this dress once it's finished though, because it's going to be delicate. Obviously, I'm also going to have to play with how I'm going to stitch all those squares together. So I'm going to try to use my embroidery machine to do a lot of the work for me. So that's what I'm thinking. Oh, Vera's saying I'm that way about a car coat from Emily in Paris. That is another great show to watch for fashion ideas. And I was really sad that it's getting discontinued. I saw that they're not going to continue making it, which is very sad because that is a very cool show. So I hear you about the car coat. I don't know. So we're going to see. So I'm excited. So I have this project I want to work on, and I'm going to fit it in with all the millions of other things I'm doing. All right, let's go back to my table view here. All right, so let me show you, before I start showing you how to make, you know, the yoke, what I want, we have to do some other things first. So I'm going to move my book out of the way. And the first thing I want to show you here is, because of the way the armhole fits me, I decided I wanted to raise it. So like, let's say you have that situation in a top that you're working on, you know, if it's sleeveless, and then you realize that the base of the armhole is just a little bit too low or high. What you want to do is you want to put your pieces together. Oh, Vera, I'm sorry. I know why you're making that pouty face. All right, so you can see here, this was my original base of armhole, and I just want to show you there's a few things about this that are actually wrong. First of all, see how it's coming down at a slight angle and not coming straight across? That's bad. That's bad drafting. Okay, I should have made sure it was straight across like this. Okay, so you never want to have your armholes end on a down, because you'll end up with a little down, you know, you'll end up with a little inverted V shape at the base of your armhole. It's a small detail, but it really looks more polished if you have a, you know, a nice transition from the front and back armhole. So notice here I have a straight line, okay, and I raised it 3/4 of an inch. So now it's not going to show my bra band, or I have a tank top under it right now, but basically I want to make sure that's up a little higher. Hey Kay Ellen, it's your first time live. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for following along with me too. All right, so I raised the armhole, you know, and the easiest way to do it is to mash up your side seams. And notice, to make it easy, I just folded the paper back on one side, you know, if you haven't cut it out yet. So I fixed that. That's one thing I fixed. And then the other thing I changed already is, based on how the length of this shirt right now, I decided to add 3 inches to the length of this top. So I basically just extended the side seam down 3 inches. I extended the center back down 3 inches. And then I just dashed in a shape that mirrored the shape. I wasn't like super serious about it. But we want to do the same thing that we did on the base of armhole. Okay, I'm going to fold back this extra paper. And I want to line this up, and I want to look at my transition to see if I like it. And you can see this makes a subtle shirt tail hem. So I think I'm just going to go with that for now and see. By adding this extra, before I go to hem it, if I want to make it a little more pronounced, I can trim it through here and make it a little bit more shirt tail if I want to. But basically I added the 3 inches. So those are the things I did to the pattern before I'm going to do anything else with it. So basically that's what we have going on here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the dart in the front to the shoulder. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how far the dart is from the neckline edge in the back, and I'm going to make that same distance in the front. So I'm just going to measure this. Measures 2 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to fold this paper back on itself for now because it's just to make it easier for me to work with when I'm drawing here. I'm just going to do this for now. Okay, so I am going to measure 2 1/4 inches here. Okay, so that's where the outer dart leg is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that line, and I'm also going to I'm going to extend the tip of my dart about 1 inch, because my apex, well, wait a minute, my apex is like 9 inches. I mean, my bust span is 9 inches. So I do have, okay, wait, let me just draw something for you here so you know what I did. When I traced the pattern, I traced it with the button placket on, okay? Just so I would have enough room here. So this is my button placket finished. So the middle of this, or 5/8 of an inch away, is my center front. I'll do center front in purple. This is my center front. Okay, so now I'm not going to need this. I don't need any of this because we're going to cut this on the fold when I make the front. There's going to be no seam below the, there's going to be no center front seam on this. Okay, so just to show you, when I traced it, okay, I traced it just like this with the button placket on. Okay, so that's how I know this line is my center, which is this line right here. All right, so I did that. And so now I know where my center front is, right here in this purple line. And the reason why I need to know that is my bust span is like 9 inches. So that means my apex is 4.5 inches away. I'm going to go 5 inches. I'm going to do 5 inches. So I'm going to extend the tip of my dart to here. Okay, and then I'm going to connect this with that outer line I drew on my shoulder like this. Okay, so you can see what I've done is I've connected the shoulder with where I'm going to pivot. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut straight through my shoulder down to here, and then I'm going to cut along one dart leg like this all the way through. Okay, and what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to shut this dart like this. So I'm going to rotate this in like this. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going to Scotch tape that shut. All right, so now I've shut that. And now I have this gargantuan dart here. Okay. See how big that is? Trying to decide if I want to rotate some of that to the hem to make it a little smaller. That's a giant, giant dart because I have a giant bust. So I think what I might do, let's take a look. This is how I decide these things. I'm going to switch my view back to here, and let's look at how this is fitting me from the side. You know, maybe I could have a little bit more ease just for a loose, flowy top, right? Maybe a little bit more. So what I want to do here is I am going to reduce the size of this giant dart by, okay, so now I'm going to cut all this extra paper off here. So I'm going to draw a line straight down like this. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this. And I'm going to pivot this out a little. So let me do it so you can really see what I'm trying to show you here. I just don't want to throw that fabric that far out of whack. So if I put it like this, I think you'll be able to see. So if I put this right here, so if I open this up a little bit here, right, I can get rid of or make this a little more reasonable right here. I think that's more reasonable. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape right here. And then I need paper to fill this in. So let me, well, actually, I'm not going to fill it in. I'm not going to fill that part in because I'm going to be cutting that apart anyway. So I'm just going to leave that part. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put paper here. I'm going to put paper here like this. Okay, so the part that, just lay it flat. I'll use my other tape dispenser to hold that flat. Let's get everything laying nice and flat. All right, so I'm going to fill this in. But this is adding a ton of ease, so I'm also going to show you how to reduce that too. My strip of paper is almost too small here. Hold on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this like this, and then I can, okay, so Kay's asking about this little triangle, this little opening right here. I'll talk about that in a second. That we're just gonna ignore. We're gonna fill it with paper and ignore it. But that's what happens when you, this was the tip of my dart here, but I pivoted it here. So you get that little bit of extra length there, and that's totally fine. We're just gonna leave that alone. We're gonna pretend that never happened once I fill it with paper. But I don't want to have the amount of ease that I rotated, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that. So like if I take a little piece of paper, like, you know, so if I take some of this paper right here, I can just fill in like all of this. See, we're just going to pretend that this little triangle, you know, we're just going to fill that little triangle in, okay? But that's, it opens because of the way I rotated the dart. And it's big because I'm a huge G cup, right? I have a large bust cup. So, you know, if you have an A, B, or C cup, this, and you make a line on the tip of your dart and rotate over here, it'll be much smaller. I just have a huge bust. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. All right, so I've got this put together. Now what I want to show you here is if I draw myself a horizontal line across my pattern right here, oops, okay, you can see from this brown line, whoops, I'm sorry, from this brown line that I drew, that's where the tip of the dart is. So over here, that's where the tip of the dart would be. So I'm going to remove some of this ease by basically rotating it off my pattern like this. So the dart that I put here, so this dart that I spread and added right here, all the way up to here, I'm going to remove some of it from over here because I don't want that. I don't want it to be really that. I don't want it to be that big. So over here, if we check the hem over here, this is 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do not want to add 4 inches to my shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's just take off 3.5. So 1, 2, 3.5 puts me right here. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw myself this line. Okay, so you can see basically what I'm doing is I'm putting the side seam almost back to where it was. Okay, so now I can cut this off. Okay, and then because I cut that off, what I want to do is bring this back in and verify that I still have a nice shape. See, now it looks a little pinchy. So actually, the first thing I'm going to do is walk it to make sure they're the same length because we want to make sure that that matches. So I'm going to take the side I cut off, which is this side, and just cut it off all the way up to the top. And I'm going to cut out this armhole too. Might as well cut the shoulder too. All right. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to match it up with this like this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have the same length. And you can see now we don't because of how the curve was here. So this all matches, but this one ends here. So I'm going to extend this down to here. Okay, to match it. Then I'm going to put this back together like this. And we're going to reshape that so it looks nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like, I want this to be kind of straight for a second here. You know, just like with the base of armhole, you need a nice transition. So maybe I'll come down a little bit like here and then do something like that. You know, so I have a nice curve. And let me just get a curved ruler here, hold on, to help me. So I want it to be a nice shape. So I'm gonna just trace it right here like this. See, so now that's a nicer shape. All right, so I'm happy with that now. And, you know, just to show you what my final answer is, it's going to be this. All right, so see how that makes a nice shape now at the intersection of the front and back. And then, move this out of the way for a second. So right here, I need to create a nice shape here. So we'll just go like this. So I'll just cut this off. So there's my final hem shape. All right. Oh, and actually this is, let me just cut this off so it all matches up. La, 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 la. All right, so there is my shape for my front neckline. I mean, sorry, my front hem. Okay. All right, so we did that. Now let's look at our pattern. The reason why I'm not filling this in is because this is going to be my yoke. So I'm going to be cutting that off anyway. So the next thing I have to decide is, you know, if I want to just make a basic yoke, for example, I can just cut it right at the tip of the dart here. So like if I draw myself a line right here, I could just cut this off and then add seam allowances here. Okay, and then that will be, you know, it'll just be a plain yoke. And I think for this version, I'm going to go with that instead of trying to do anything extra fancy. So the first thing I want to do is let me just continue my center front line here. So I can cut that off because I know I don't need that. So I'm going to cut this off. Like this. Okay. And then I'm going to cut off right here. So you see now what I've created is, let me just get rid of this little bit of paper. Okay, so this is going to be, this piece right here is what I'm going to cut on the fold. So this is going to be cut on fold. Okay, and then this is going to be also cut on fold over here. You know, This is also going to be cut on fold. However, I also think I'm going to open the neckline a little bit. So I'm done with that section. So now we're working with this little section. And you have to remember this original shirt is right up at the base of my neck because I have a collar on it, right? So I don't want to have my neckline all the way up there. Whoops. So what I'm going to do is, let me just get rid of all this paper. So I'm going to lower my neckline. Let's just look here. All right, so see how this goes all the way up to the top of my, I'll just do this so you can see. This goes all the way up here. So I think I need to lower it like, I don't know, maybe 3 inches. Okay is asking, am I going to add seam allowances to both dart legs? Yes, I am. And I'm also going to, I'll do that in a second, but first I want to change my thing. So I'm going to lower my neckline. Let's lower it 3 inches so it comes down to here. Or maybe, let's do 2 inches because I can always scoop it more if I want to. So I'm going to do 2 inches. And I'm also going to move it a little bit away from the side of my neck too, because I don't want it right there. So I'm going to move it out 1 inch and down 2 inches. Let's try that. So let's go back over here. So I'm going to measure down 2 inches. I'm going to draw a line like this. And I'm also going to go, now there is a 1/2 inch seam allowance built into my neckline already, so that's going to stay there, but I am going to remove 1 inch to make it a little bit more open. So now basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create, you know, a nice round shape like that. And then I'm going to cut it. You know, you can use your ruler if you have a hard time dashing in a shape, but I think that's going to be a pretty nice shape. And so this is going to be my yoke, but because I did this to my shoulder, I also have to adjust the back. And honestly, I really don't like, I'm really not a fan of shirts or garments that have details in the front that don't continue to the back. So I want to continue this detail to the back. So let's get my back over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up like this, right? Because that's how that would go. Right? Because there's my, how much I'm shortening. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's like this. I'm putting it, matching it up with the dart leg. I'm sorry. Okay, so there's the dart leg. This is the dart leg, right? So I'm gonna make this a little deeper, and I don't want it to be lower in the back, but I just want it to stand a little bit away from the side of my neck. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit. Let's do 1/4 lower. Like this. Oops. All right, so we'll just do it a little bit lower like that. Okay, so I'm going to cut that off. So now my shoulder lengths match, and because I have, look what I have in the back. I have a shoulder dart in my back. So I am going to create what I'm going to do is I am going to measure. That's 1.25 inches. So I'm going to measure 1.25 inches all the way around like this. All right, so see how this is going to be my facing in the back? And just to make it look nice, something like that. And maybe this has to be slightly more curved there, like that. So not this. All right, so that's going to be my facing piece for the back. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to here's what I'm going to do. See, how can I make that work? I want to rotate the dart into, I want to make this dart curved here. I want to curve the dart. So I'm going to, let's see. I am going to I'm gonna have to test this, but so this dart is in 1/2 inch, and it is 4 inches long. So I'm gonna, okay, so 4 inches brings me to like here. 4 inches brings me to right there. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of do this. So it's almost like I'm redrawing this dart to be curved like this. Okay, so now this is nothing. Okay, but this will be, that'll bring that in and create that. I'm going to test it and see if that works. This I'm making out of my head. I don't even know. Just trying it. All right, so basically now on the back, I'm going to have that's my back yoke. This is going to be my back yoke. So whenever you cut pieces away from your pattern, it's a really good idea to mark center back. And I'm just going to put S for shoulder here, just so I know what I'm doing. And then I'm going to cut this little sliver off, because that's my rotated dart. I basically made a curved dart from, so I made a curved dart from the straight dart. Okay, so now the question is, I'm going to have to add seam allowance here and here. So the first, let's start in the back. I'm just going to cut a little piece of paper here. I'm going to tape this right here. Like this. Okay, so Sandra is asking me, if you want to make the neck smaller, do you then have to bring in the shoulder point? No, that's a great question. So the first thing is, now I've obviously tested the fit of this pattern because I'm wearing the pattern that I'm working with. So you really want to make sure that you test, you test the fit of it. And if your tip of your shoulder is here, it doesn't matter what you do with the neckline. The neckline can be wider or narrower, closer to your neck or farther from your neck, whatever. But that does not affect the tip of your shoulder. That was a really good question. And now I'm looking at this, and this seems really broad. So I think I'm going to put 1/2 inch back, because that's big. So, all right, if I put 1/2 inch back, can I put 1/2 inch back without screwing this up? And let me just see here. Oh no, sorry. It looks big because I forgot about this. I'm looking at this, I'm like, holy cow, that's way too deep. But obviously, no, it's not. That's going to be fine. Right, this neckline, that's going to be fine. All right, so I'm going to just add my seam allowance here. So again, I want to make a nice L shape at the very top where it, where it matches on the shoulder. And then I'm just going to add my 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now here's the nice thing about having a yoke. When you have a yoke like this, you're going to face the yoke. So I will have a nice finished edge by doing, a faced yoke when I sew it on. So I don't have to worry about finishing the edge. All right, so that's my seam allowance in the back. So now I'm going to cut this off like this. All right, so that finishes my back. Now I'm going to add a seam allowance to this. So basically, let's just take this on here. And again, I'm going to add my seam allowance here. All right. All right, so here is my finished back yoke. Now there is a center back seam, which I'm keeping. Well, I really don't need all this extra paper under here, so I'm just going to trim it away like that. All right, so here is my back. Hey, Barbara Wilson. Hello, hello. Oh, and Sandra, you're very welcome. Okay, so I got rid of that. Now, because I've got this tiny little piece with this tiny little piece, I'm going to pin this tiny little piece onto the main piece so I don't lose that. And I'm also going to just stick a piece of tape along the back here where I added paper, so it doesn't fall off. All right, so there's my completed back with my back yoke. And now let's come over here to my front. So I'm going to have to add seam allowance here. Like this. Of course, I'm sitting here thinking to myself now, because I've gotten rid of the button down front, am I going to be able to get it over my head? You see what I'm saying? Like, did I make the neckline big enough to fit over my head? That's what I'm thinking right now as I work on this. Let me just add my seam allowances here. All right, so I added my seam allowance back in there, like that. Okay. All right, so I've got that. And now I need to add a seam allowance right here. Like this. Okay. And then I'm also going to need one second, let me get rid of this paper here. So this is an example of something you can do with, if you have a shirt pattern that's fitting you, then, and you like it and you don't want to make a million of the same style shirt, this is me just sharing another way that you can, you know, use the same pattern but then cut it apart and make it into something else. And also, I'm kind of excited to see how it looks without the bust darts. All right, I need to have a seam allowance right here, and then we're done with seam allowances. What we do is make it down. Okay. Okay. So now I've got my, if I line this up here like this, this is going to have to get sewn in here and then down here. All right, so I think what I'm going to do with this is run decorative stitches, maybe white. I'm going to play with it on a scrap, we'll see. But of course, now because I've made all these changes to this, I'm going to have to test it. I'm not going to cut this out of my Irish linen without testing it, because I want to make sure that all the changes I made work with myself here. And then let's look at the back of this. See, I have all this extra paper, so I'm just gonna you know, just put a few pieces of tape here so nothing falls apart. All right. All right, so that's my pattern. I'm going to test it in muslin before I do the real deal. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I just want to show you one other thing. I want to show you my hem here. Just going to zoom in on it. Because you remember when I did this, I sewed a narrow hem. I sewed the fold first and then I flipped it up again like a double. I sewed like a double hem. And I just want to show you here. See how from the right side there's just one row of stitching on the hem, but then when you flip it over there's the 2 rows because I sewed close to the fold and then I folded it again. And if you're interested in that, check out, you know, 2 weeks ago or when I was working on this shirt, I'll show you. But I want to try eliminating the 2 rows of stitching on the wrong side. And the way I'm going to try that, and you'll have to watch out for FabFit Friday, for Cool Tools this week coming up. I ordered some wash away thread. So I'm going to do this as a cool tool, but this is water soluble thread. Okay, so I'm going to try that on my first stitching. So when I fold it the first time and sew along the fold, I'm going to try this fabric. I'm going to try this thread, and then I'm going to sew it with real thread for the final. I'm going to wash it and see what happens. So I'm going to be trying that, and it's going to be my cool tool for this week. So check that out if you're interested this week on Monday. All right, so OK is asking about buttonholes. So buttonholes. All right, so I am a huge fan of doing my buttonholes on my embroidery machine. And I actually have a buttonhole, and the way it's designed, I'm just going to draw you a picture because I don't have a sample here, but let's say, okay, so this is my, oops, wait a minute. Right, so this is my center front line. Oh, the armholes. Oh, armholes. All right, let me talk about buttonholes first, and I'll go to armholes. So I have a embroidered buttonhole design where it makes a buttonhole, and then it does candle wicking knots down so far until it gets to the next buttonhole. So there's these little dots, and then there's another buttonhole, then there's dots, and then there's buttonhole. And I think if I make those out of blue that match the color button, that'd be very pretty down the front of this shirt I'm wearing now. So this is going to be on the shirt I'm wearing now, not on this. This is cut on fold, but I just wanted to show you buttonhole, dot, 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 buttonhole, dot, dot, dot. So that's what I'm going to do for my buttonholes on my red shirt. Now armholes, for the shirt I'm wearing now, let me just get up close here to show you. I think you can see that I used a piece of bias binding, and so I sewed it on, flipped it under, pressed it, and top stitch it. Now here is something I want to tell you about this. If you want to use a bias strip to finish your armholes like I did here, I think I can show you. I'll stand up really close so you can see. Okay, so see, it's a strip. I did it on the bias. Okay, and I starched the bejesus out of it. All right, and the reason why I'm mentioning that is because when I sewed them on to the armhole, literally they were doing this. Let me force it. So see how I made them stick out like this down here? And when I washed it, they went back up. So don't panic if you decide to use a woven strip of fabric to finish your armhole. If you starch it, it's going to be stiff and it might poke out funny, but then when you wash it, it relaxes and it presses into the right position. See, it's right straight up. Okay. But for this shirt, because I'm doing facings on everything, I think I may you know what I may do, since I'm doing, so see how in the back I've got, hold on. So I've got this little facing right here that I'm going to sew on. Don't you think that'd be kind of cool if I did it on the sleeve too? So what I'm going to do is, let's do it on the front, and then I'll also do it on the back. Let's say I am going to measure. I think on the sleeve I'll just do 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and measure 1 inch all the way. Like this. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Hold on one second. Let me make it a little easier to see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to get my inch. Like this. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off, add seam allowances, and I'll make a facing and almost like a little yoke for the armholes with a facing. So that will match what I'm doing on the neckline. I think that's what I'll do. And because this linen is so sheer, I think that'll look nice to have a double armhole. So I'm going to do that to both of my armholes. You know, so obviously, if I line that up, then we know this is going to be right here. And I'll just do the same thing here. I'll cut those off and I'll sew them back on. So I think that's how I'm going to do that, instead of just doing a facing. So, but the procedure will be the same as how I did the back neckline. So I'm not going to take the time to do it here, but that's how I think I'm going to finish that. So, okay, thank you for asking that question, because it gave me a minute to think about it. And again, if you're working with all of these different things and you're making all these different pieces, I highly recommend, you know, pinning them on, but also maybe even labeling them, you know, and the date or whatever. So I'm not going to do that right this second, but at the very least, keep everything pinned together so you don't lose your pieces, because I promise you the little pieces will disappear. And yes, Sandra, I am going to interface. So because this is such a sheer fabric, I'll interface the public side of all the yoke pieces and the public side of the band that I'm making to go to finish the armhole. And then I'll leave the facing pieces not interfaced. So that's how I'm going to do interfacing. And I have my cotton fuse, which is kind of, I think it's going to be too thick for this. It's a woven cotton fusible interfacing. I think I'm going to use something sheer, like my friend Gail Yellen. I don't know if you know her, Gail Patrice Designs. She sells something called Denny Fuse. It's a very lightweight fusible interfacing that is barely adds any bulk or any, it just gives your fabric a little bit of body. So I think I'm going to use something very lightweight for interfacing, because you don't want your interfacing to overwhelm the fabric. And if I show you this is my cotton fuse. Let me just show you here. Okay, this is my cotton fuse, and if I find the end to it, I should put it, you know, this is probably as hefty or almost as hefty as my linen, right? So I don't want to use something like that. That's going to be too thick. So I'm going to use something a little bit less, and I don't have it here to show you now, but I will share it with you next week, because it's in a bin somewhere. So I'm not going to run around and look for it right this second, but basically that's what I'm going to do. So it'll have the yoke here, and then there'll be no seam here. But it'll have the yoke going around the entire neckline, and it'll have the band on the armhole. So I'm kind of excited to make up that shirt, and maybe I'll do some white decorative stitching on the yoke. So that is my plan. So I am working on my summer sewing series. I just have had a bunch of things that have kind of gotten in the way, but I'm gonna bust forward. After I finish that shirt, I'm gonna work on maybe the dress out of that printed silk that I have. So, I've got a bunch of things I'm working on. I'm going to keep going. I'm also going to stick in that dress with the white linen and the dyed fabric. So I'll be working on that sporadically throughout. I'm hoping if I work on it over the course of a month, it'll be finished. Like if I can finish it for PatternCon. Is anyone going to PatternCon? Today is the last day to get tickets for PatternCon. So if anybody is interested in PatternCon, just briefly, what that is my friend Trisha from Creative Costume Academy on Instagram started a sewing conference that is like a Comic-Con, and a garment sewing conference had a baby, and they created PatternCon. So there's cosplay, there's fitting, there's garment sewing, there's corset making, there's pattern drafting, there's all the things related to garments. There's no quilting and there's no knitting. It's just garment and costume design. And I'm super excited. Oh, a link. So it's just very, very cool. Cool event. And last year was the first year she did it. She got 250 people to come. It was the best event I've ever been to. Gail Patrice Designs. I'm going to put a link to the Denny Fuse here so people can find it. It's really, really nice interfacing. So let me just see if I can find that for you. Oh, maybe she doesn't have it anymore. Hold on. Uh-oh. Okay, she does not sell that anymore. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I am going to... hold on, let me just do a quick Palmer Fletch. Fusible interfacing. Palmer and Fletch has good interfacing too. Hold on. Let's see. Palmer and Fletch. Okay, so Palmer and Fletch does have interfacing. They have sheer. Okay, so this is the one, sheer interfacing. Okay, so I'm going to give you this link. This is Palmer and Fletch's sheer, which I think will be a similar... Oh, hi RT Blades. I'm just ready to sign off. I'm putting a link to Palmer and Fletch, their online shop. They have, you can either get the sheer or the lightweight. One of those will work nicely for a lightweight linen, or a sheer linen, tissue linen, things that are lightweight. You want a lighter weight interfacing. And the only one that I carry is my cotton fuse, but it's a little bit too firm. I will tell you though, you can see on my shirt I'm wearing now, there is cotton fuse in here, and it really isn't, it really isn't too stiff for this linen. And, honestly, this linen is very similar to the blue linen weight-wise, so, I guess I might be able to use cotton fuse in here, But I mean, I do think it's a little bit firmer than I want. So I only carry the one thing. Oh, Barbara says, oh, thank you. I do get things from P&P. Yeah, P&P are good people. You know, they've been around a long time and they do a wonderful job with everything they do. So I'm happy to support other little small businesses because, you know, that's what we do. Samina says, oh, it sounds divine and it's too far from the UK. Well, you know what you have, though, that I don't have in the UK? I had someone from the UK send me fusible, one-sided fusible elastic for underwear that has the plush side on one side and the fusible side on the other side. So I actually had to find someone from the UK to send that to me. So I'm sure if you look, you can find something in the UK that's similar. You want to look for a lightweight or sheer fusible interfacing, just to give your fabric a little body without making it too stiff. Okay, so RT Blades is saying that she saw someone using silk organza for interfacing. That is another good one. It's not fusible, but you can use a temporary adhesive spray to hold it in place for you while you're working with it. That works out really well too. And Kay, oh, we have another Kay in the house. Hi, Kay. She's saying the shirt looks really nice on you. Thank you. And if you've been watching or you haven't been watching, or if you just came on, you know, watch the rest of the video because I showed how to adjust this pattern into a more open neck with a yoke. And I rotated the bust dart to the shoulder, and I'm going to hide that dart in between the seam of the yoke and the shirt. So, yeah, so I'm excited. So I'm gonna be working on all of this, and I'm hopefully by next Friday I'll have the buttons on here, as long as I can find blue buttons and get them. And then also I'll definitely have the muslin version of the shirt I designed today. I don't want to cut it out until I try it because, again, I'm working with expensive fabric. So I will do a muslin for that first. Okay, so all right, so and if anybody likes this fabric, this red fabric, or if you like the white fabric I showed from Fabric Mart is an amazing online source for fabrics. And if you sign up for their newsletter, they will always have things on sale. And so the way they do their sales is they'll say, okay, fabric categories that begin with A to whatever are on sale, or, you know, L to P, or whatever it is. So I got the linen when it was on sale, and this linen was from Fabric Mart too, and I love it. So definitely check out Fabric Mart if you are in need of linen. Or another good one is when Metro Textiles, it's Metro Textiles NYC is their website. They will do, Kashi, the owner, will give 60% off his fabric sometimes. So you use a coupon code, and he has an excellent online store as well. So, so I'm going to have this one, I'm going to have the blue one, and then I think what I'd like to make is some khaki shorts to go with these two tops. So do I have khaki fabric? No, so I'm going to have to find that as well. So I'm working on a bunch of things, and I'm going to be sharing that with you as I go along, and I'm sticking in that Anne Hathaway dress. I'm going to be very busy. Okay says, do you use separate machine for embroidery? Yes, I do. So let me just show you. So I have a Brother PRS 100. Oops, hold on. Uh-oh. Oh no, did I scare my camera? No, wait, hold on. There it is. See, my Brother PRS 100. I love it. And there's my little ditto form half scale. There's my mirror, my 2 mirror setup. And see, I have pattern pieces hanging from my mirror. Those are things that I'm working on too. I have a lot of different projects going on right now. So I do love the Brother PRS 100 because it's got that free arm. I can embroider anything. So I do love that machine. and I like it because it's over there and I use it when I want to embroider and it's not taking up any of my table or work surface space. So that's why I like that. I bought the little rolly cart that goes with it. All right, so, oh, and if you're interested in learning about the Brother PRS 100, I did do a series on my YouTube channel about it. So I do have, you know, some help with that as well on my channel. All right, so I think I'm gonna call it. My other issue is, the only reason why I get my nails done is for my YouTube channel. My 84-year-old dad told me I had to keep them going because I have a YouTube channel, and I screwed up the date for my appointment. I thought it was last Friday, a week after I got home from my pants fitting class, but no, I made a mistake and I made the appointment for today. So my nails are almost growing off of my fingers, so I am dying to get my nails done this afternoon. So that's the only other thing I have to do today. Okay, so Samina's asking me a question. The embroidered pants you did you line them? Embroidered pants. I'm having trouble remembering me doing embroidered pants. I have been lining pants with silk charmeuse. And actually, the pants I want to make, and I shared the white and black floral linen when I shared my summer sewing plans. I bought white silk to line them. So if I were going to embroider pants, and if I tried them on and they felt yucky on the inside, yes, I would embroider them. I will tell you that I have embroidered denim when I'm making jeans into a skirt, and I did not line those. And as long as you use something soft, like if you're using rayon threads and soft embroidery thread, that is not yucky on your skin unless your skin is sensitive. So I am getting more and more into wanting to line things though, because certain fabrics hang better and get less wrinkly, especially linen. So I'm going to be testing my 3-seam pant, making them out of a black and white floral linen, and I am going to line them. And actually, I'm going to share this with you. I'm either going to do a faux Hong Kong finish by cutting the lining in 1/2 inch bigger on each vertical seam, and then when you sew it and turn it, the silk rolls to the fabric side, and then when you sew it, you get a finished edge. So each piece will be lined individually. Or I may just cut out lining to match the pieces and just sew them and then just serge them. I'm just going to decide, you know, I'm going to see what I'm going to do, either one of those methods. But I am playing with more different ways to line things. So I will be working on my 3-seam pants, and I will be lining them. So stay tuned for that too. So I have a lot of things I'm going to be sewing. And of course, the only way I have time to make things for myself is if I share them with you here on my channel. So, so that's why I'm having my summer sewing plans. So anyway, all right. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you're enjoying summer. We're in the longest days of summer right now, so get out and enjoy it. And thank you guys for watching. I just want you to know this is my most favorite day of the week because I love getting together with you guys. I love sharing what I'm working on, and you know, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me. So I just want to thank everybody for that, and I will see you next week with some finished buttons, hopefully, and with a muslin for what I designed today. And check out Cool Tools. That's going to be the wash away thread. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you again next Friday. All right. Bye-bye.